Imagine a retiree walking into the bank on a typical morning. He's not trying to cheat anyone. He worked for 40 years, paid taxes, saved what he could, and now he just wants to withdraw a larger amount to help his family, pay a medical bill, or move part of his savings. Then the cashier looks at him and asks, "What is this money for?" or "Where did this deposit come from?" And the answer that comes to mind is the one that many people find most fair. That's none of your business. I understand the anger behind that phrase. The money is yours, the account is in your name. You shouldn't feel interrogated like a criminal just because you've gotten older, retire, or receive Social Security, Medicare, SSI, or a pension. But here's the part that many people misunderstand. This phrase doesn't protect you. It can make things worse. It can make a normal transaction seem evasive. It can lead to delays, manager inquiries, reviews, blocks, or more questions when you wanted to leave with dignity. If you want to protect your money and your family from rumors, scams, false viral promises, and confusion about Social Security, Medicare, and retirement, sign up. This video isn't about teaching you to hand over your private life to the bank. It's the opposite. It's about showing you how to answer briefly, answer correctly, and answer calmly, without lying and without giving the system reason to treat you as a suspect. The real question isn't whether the bank can know everything about your life. It's when the bank asks, how do you answer without harming yourself? It wants to understand if the transaction makes sense, if there's a risk of fraud, if someone is pressuring you, if the money has an explainable origin, or if there are signs of fraud. This doesn't mean that every teller is the enemy. Nor does it mean that banks deserve blind trust. Both things can be true. You have a right to privacy, and the bank may have an obligation to ask when something deviates from the norm. The part that many people misunderstand is thinking that any question is an attack. Sometimes, that's the case because elderly people are targeted by scams every day. A fake IRS employee calls. A fake Medicare representative asks for urgent payment. An online romance invents an emergency. A caregiver puts pressure on them. The bank doesn't know if you're in control or if someone is using your fear against you. It sees a large withdrawal, an unusual deposit, a different transfer, or a nervous response. Therefore, your answer matters. You don't need to share intimate details. You don't need to explain your entire family. But you do need to give a simple, truthful, and calm explanation to show that you know what you're doing. And next comes the fact check that could save a lot of people. The viral promise that you never have to answer anything to the bank sounds strong, but it could be the advice that keeps your money stuck. It sounds like the response someone tired of being watched would want to give after working their whole life for their own money. But a promise can sound powerful and still be incomplete. There's a difference between protecting your privacy and appearing to be hiding something. A retiree who answers calmly, concisely, and truthfully sends one message. A retiree who becomes aggressive, changes the story, or refuses to say anything sends another. The banking system doesn't read your heart. It doesn't know you're angry because you feel disrespected. It doesn't know you're afraid of losing Social Security, Medicare, SSI, or retirement benefits. It only records behavior, patterns, and risk. The fact check is this: you don't need to give away intimate details. But you also shouldn't follow viral advice that tells you to challenge the bank as if every question were a trap. The safest approach is to answer only what is necessary. Basic origin, basic purpose. No political discourse, no jokes about hiding money. No phrases that seem like an attempt to avoid reporting. Because the part that most often trips up elderly people isn't the cashier's question. It's the impulsive answer given in a moment of anger. Now we will look at 5 responses that seem strong but should raise red flags when you want to avoid problems. The first dangerous response is, "That's none of your business." It sounds like a defense mechanism, but it can come across as a complete refusal. To the bank, it's not emotion, it's a sign that there might be something you don't want to explain. The second is, "I don't have to tell you anything. You may be right about not opening up your entire life," but that phrase shuts down the conversation. And when the conversation shuts down, the bank can open a review. The third is, "Just give me my money." This phrase stems from indignation. You worked for it, you don't want to ask permission. But if there is suspicion of fraud against an elderly person, pressure from a family member, or a scam, This reaction can make the employee think that someone is ordering you to act quickly. The fourth is, I'm taking it away so the government won't see. Never say that, even jokingly. This phrase can turn a normal transaction into suspicious behavior. You don't want to look like someone hiding money. The fifth one is the worst. I'm splitting it to avoid reporting. This is the kind of phrase that raises a red flag. If you learned a rule online and started breaking it by making smaller deposits or withdrawals, stop before acting and confirm with an official source, accountant, or lawyer. Notice the pattern. None of these phrases prove you did anything wrong. They all can make you seem nervous, evasive, or guided by bad advice. The biggest mistake people make is confusing firmness with confrontation. You can be firm without being aggressive. You can protect your privacy without seeming like you're running away. You can say little, but you need to say something truthful. Next, I'll give you simple phrases to use instead of those answers. Short, natural phrases that explain the basics without giving too much away. If the withdrawal is for a home improvement project, say, I'm going to pay for a repair on my house. If it's for a medical bill, it's for medical expenses. If it's a bank transfer, I'm moving my savings to another account in my name. If you're confused, say, I'd like to understand what information you need and why. This phrase is powerful because it's neither aggressive nor submissive. You're saying, explain the rule before I respond more than necessary. If a bank has ever asked you a question that made you uncomfortable, comment bank. This shows other seniors that they are not alone. And leave a like if this alert helps protect your money. The rule is simple: be truthful, calm, and specific. Don't make up reasons. Don't use irony. Don't say you're running from the government, avoiding reporting, or hiding money. If the transaction is large, bring documentation. Sales receipt, repair note, inheritance letter. Medical bill, proof of payment. You're not asking for permission. You're removing excuses for being late. A short answer doesn't have to be hostile. You can say little respectfully and still maintain control. Before making any major financial decisions, check with official sources, an accountant, a lawyer, or an agency. The next point addresses the fear that most confuses retirees: losing Social Security, Medicare, SSI, or other benefits. The teller doesn't decide your Medicare, the manager doesn't decide your Social Security. The part that many people misunderstand is this: each benefit has its own rules. Social Security retirement benefits don't work the same way as SSI. Medicare doesn't work the same way as Medicaid. A pension isn't analyzed as income or resource-based assistance. The danger begins when a person tries to hide something, lies, follows viral advice, or moves money without understanding the rules of the benefit they receive. The wrong phrase might not cut anything in that moment, but it can create confusion, delay explanations, and leave you without documents when asked for proof. So don't act out of fear. Don't say you're withdrawing money so the government won't see. Don't hide transfers from those who need to evaluate them. Before any large transaction, confirm with an official source or lawyer. You don't need to live in real fear. You need to live organized. And in the next part, we'll talk about the most legitimate reason for some of the bank's questions: scams targeting the elderly. Now, here's a side of the story that many people don't want to hear, but need to. Some of the bank's questions exist because senior managers are attacked every day. Not out of weakness. Con artists study fear, loneliness, illness, grief, and trust. They know how to pressure someone who lives on retirement benefits, Social Security, Medicare, or SSI. A fake IRS agent tells you that you must pay today. A fake Medicare employee asks for information to update your card. An online romance asks for money for an emergency. A crypto investment promises security. A caregiver starts with small requests. A relative says, "Trust me, I'll handle it." When the bank asks who the money will go to, sometimes it wants to know if you control the decision. The mistake many people make is thinking, if I respond, I've lost my freedom. No, if you respond calmly, you can protect your freedom. If you explode, lie, or shut down, you might seem pressure. State the basics. If someone is rushing you, stop. If they ask you to keep it a secret, be suspicious. If they ask you to withdraw cash, buy gift cards, send crypto, or transfer money to someone you've never met in person, confirm beforehand with an official source, a trusted family member, or a professional. Finally, I'll leave you with a simple checklist to use before any difficult conversation at the bank. Third, never say you're trying to avoid reporting, hide things from the government, or withdraw money without anyone seeing. Even jokingly, this can sound like a red flag. Fourth, ask for an explanation. You can say, "I want to understand what information you need and why." This phrase maintains your dignity and avoids confrontation. Fifth, if the conversation gets confusing, ask to speak to the manager. Not to argue, but to understand the procedure. Sixth, keep receipts, contracts, vouchers, medical records, sales documents, inheritance letters, and transfer records. Seventh, be for moving large sums of money, especially if you receive SSI, Medicaid, income-based assistance, or have questions about taxes. Confirm with official sources, an accountant, a lawyer, or the responsible agency. The main lesson is simple. Don't entrust your entire life to the bank, but also don't sabotage yourself with an impulsive phrase. That's none of your business may seem courageous, but a short, calm, and truthful response offers far more protection. If this happened to you, comment bank. This helps seniors realize they're not alone. Leave a like if this was helpful today, and click on the video that appears on the screen, because it explains another mistake retirees make that can put their money, benefits, and family at risk.